After a career of using most of these points by accident, and being fortunate enough to succeed wildly when they worked together, and failing miserably when they didn't, I finally sat down and wrote the 12 leverage points down. When I really started asking what they were worth as individual aspects, something sort of, cool happened. To explain what it was, I need to tell you that as I'm always asking in the back of my mind, how can this help people succeed with their own business, with pretty much any idea that I work on? So I started looking at scenarios from my own business successes and failures, and some hypothetical scenarios. What popped off the page just flat blew my mind. I did the math over and over for days because I didn't believe what I was seeing. I called my smartest friends, asked them to look at what I was seeing, and to be perfectly honest, it terrified some of them. Not kidding. The implications actually frightened people who have made millions online. In short, when you break online business down, it comes to just a few key elements, and most people, damn near all, focus on just one or two. And if they're lucky, they scratch by and make a profit. Often, their lives suck. They have no time for themselves, and when a competitor comes along that is using just one more item on this list, these hapless business owners just curl up and fail. And it's not their fault either. We're talking primary laws of nature at work here. And when you use something as powerful as this, it literally creates an exponent, a multiplier. And when you add in more and more of these leverage points, they multiply on each other. To understand how these leverage items work together, we need to talk about an Italian economist who lived, a long time ago. His name was Wilfredo Pareto. He discovered that 80% of the land was owned by 20% of Italians, where he lived. Since then, the pattern has been observed, to my knowledge, in everything with enough data to observe. Traffic on roads, profit in companies, losses in companies, performance in athletics, even thoughts in your head. Not always exactly 80-20, but in all cases, most of the results, good or bad, come from few of the actions or inputs. Yep, look at it with your own experience. When you're being honest, even with your own thoughts, you'll find that 80% of your joy comes from just 20% of your thoughts, and vice versa. The trick is to focus on the top 20% of the things that matter. Or even better, the top 20% of the top 20%, and leave the rest for the competition to deal with. This is true to one degree or another for all of the leverage points listed below, but we haven't even gotten to the best part. This is the part where we will have you sleepless, pacing the floor at night in a splendid stupor. The leverage points don't add to each other. They multiply each other. Let me give you an example. Let's take leverage points 4, 5, and 6. Your conversion, your time, and your team. Anything that is in the top 4% of a group is 16 times more valuable than the average. I got to this using the age-old Pareto rule of 80-20 and exhaustive research on every large list of things that I could find. Trust me, it's there. The top 20% of something has 80% of the value of the whole. And the top 20% of that 20% has 80% of the value of that. Sound complicated? Me too. But if you're willing to trust me on the math, I've done this calculation about 1,000 times because it looked too good to me as well. But yep, it's 16 times. And that's time after time. In short, 20% of 100% is 20. 20% of the 20 is 4. The top 4% is 16 times the value of the average. Okay, let's put that into an example. Conversion. Look at any large list of products in any niche, and you will find the ones barely getting by and the superstars. If you've ever run an affiliate promo, you already know some convert a lot better than others. But not 16 times better, I hear you saying, and you might be right. To make that analogy, let's look at a basketball game. Does Michael Jordan make 16 times the baskets as the average NBA player? No. But he sure does make 16 times the baskets as the average basketball player. He is in a top 4% bracket among other top 4%ers. He's better, true, but so is his competition. Same for affiliate offers. By the time they come to your attention, they have risen through the ranks some. You don't even see the flops, the missteps, and the false starts. You are looking at offers that converted well enough to make it to you and your attention. But there are still winners and losers in that group, just like on the basketball court. You can find better converting offers, and you can build conversion yourself. There are lots of good courses for that. And when you do, I can tell you from personal experience, you can count on a 2 times multiple at a bare minimum. Next comes your time. Oh, we can have a field day with this one. You know it and I know it. 80% of your income comes from 20% of your time, and so on. If you cut down on 96% of the time-wasting activities you do every day and focus on the 4% that was left, the stuff that really makes you money, I know to a math certainty that your results would be 16 times as good. Is that even possible for all of us? Maybe, maybe not. I am sure that some can pull it off, and some do. But to make this easier, let's just say that you could cut out some time wasters and do a little more of some of the good stuff. And instead of a 16 times multiplier, you wind up with a paltry 2 times. I feel sort of guilty weakening the formula like this, but I honestly believe that if we did the real numbers, it would violate people's sense of what's possible. And how can I help people if they run away? So, we've talked about better conversion. We've talked about using your time better. Now let's talk about people that you work with. The gurus, the employees, if you have any, the outsourcers, everyone. If you've ever relied on another person for anything, you already know that some perform better than others. Okay, I'll give you a second to get over your fit of laughter at that understatement. If you really look back on it, you will see our old pattern emerging, the top 4% being the catalyst for the big wins. I know, I've employed over 1,000 people, and I've seen it time and time again. And we're talking about the average on this, and not the below average, or God forbid, hostile team members who are out to do some damage. The multiplier is still 16 times for having the best people. But again, I will soften it just to keep things in line with the pessimists out in the crowd. Let's say a 4 times multiplier on having the best people. That's super easy to see happening, right? Taking our hypothetical business owner, making the U.S. national average for business owners of about $52,000 per year, 2x on the conversions, 2x on the time, and 4x on the team works out to $832,000. Is that an income claim? Don't be silly. It's a hypothetical example. It would depend on a lot of factors, not the least of which your willingness to adopt the principles we're talking about. But if you see what I see, a way to stack the deck in your favor, do the things that will move you forward, and be the success that you know you could, well, then you owe it to yourself to look into this a little further. Did I explain all this correctly? Probably not. Can it be used to build a better business? Yes. How about a better life? I know I'll be using it. And then there's building a better planet for our kids. That is what I'm here to do. Always looking for help along the way on that mission. The leverage points are a new concept. We are all learning from them as we go. But I've been working feverishly to A, run the numbers and make sure the math holds up in any scenario I can find, and B, communicate what I've found in a way that helps people. Have I helped you? Can you at least see a little upside to looking into this further and taking this thrill ride with us?